Welcome back to Newsmax Prime. We are pleased to be joined now by former New York Governor and 2016 presidential candidate George Pataki. We find him at Newsmax New York, and that's also where we find political analyst Dick Morris. Gentlemen, we thank you both. Governor, let us turn to your campaign. If the first debate were held next week, you wouldn't be among those on stage. How are you planning on approaching this portion of the campaign and gaining entrance into the debate by improving in the polls?
You know, JD, I don't care about where I am in July of 15. I care about where I am in November of 16. I was just looking at yesterday's poll, and there are 9 of us that are anywhere from 4 to 0. And the leader is Donald Trump. And if I had to bet my right arm, I would bet he's not going to be president come November of 2016. So I'm not worried about that. You work hard. You make the case. I'm going to be speaking shortly at a rally with more than, I believe, 20,000 people to rally people to get Congress to reject the Iranian nuclear deal, which I think is just an abomination. You continue to speak out on issues, provide leadership, and I'm just very optimistic. You know, when I ran for governor the first time, I wasn't this well off in the polls. So you work hard, make the case.
Well, it has been compared to a marathon instead of a sprint. Dick Morris, slow and steady. Is that a recipe for victory?
No, if I could give my old friend George a piece of advice, I think that whether you rob a bank or mortgage your house or do whatever you need to do, come up with $2 million and run ads on Fox News and Newsmax and hit the Republican electorate, choose a theme that others are not talking about, or choose something nobody's advertising on, like Iran, and push it and get yourself up to 10th place. If you're not in those debates, you're not running.
Well, first of all, let me say I think Dick Morris is one of the best political minds in America. He's not always right, by the way. And yes, I'd love to be in that first debate. I am going to be in the forum that is being held by the Manchester Union leader Monday the 3rd, August 3rd in New Hampshire, along with all the other candidates. And you know, I think whether I'm in the top 10 on the 5th for this debate or not really doesn't bother me, because I honestly think there are going to be a lot more debates. It is a marathon, and you fight the fight, make the case, and I'm not worried where I am today. I'm just very optimistic that I'll have the opportunity to lead.
You made mention of Donald Trump.
Am I allowed to give the governor another
Go ahead. Free
advice,
advice. Yeah, go ahead.
I love your advice, Dick.
You're pro-choice, aren't you, George?
Yes, I am.
What I would do is make a virtue of that. I would say there are 16 candidates running. I'm the only one that's pro-choice. And unless the Republican Party breaks away from the control of the evangelicals, it's going to go down in one more election. And I'm the only candidate up here with the guts to say that. That'll get you a share, and you'll get you in the debates.
But doesn't it complicate the fact, you just got that advice, George, but we have those new videos from Planned Parenthood. Is it tough to make the case for choice in this environment?
I don't think it's tough to make the case for limited government and for giving power back to the states and not to the politicians in Washington. And by the way, I am not in favor of the federal government funding Planned Parenthood. I have never been in favor of it. I'm not in favor of it today. So I think that just makes the case that the federal government taxpayer dollars should not be going to Planned Parenthood. But I do want to make the case that I think if we focus on national security, growing the economy, reducing the size and the power and the intrusiveness of Washington, that we can win the election, because we know, Dick, the Democrats are not going to have a positive agenda. They're going to say everybody's a victim. They need protection from the evil Republicans. They're not going to be able to do that with me. If I get the nomination, I will beat Hillary Clinton. I will beat the Democratic nominee and have the chance to lead this country.
Let me just ask you this. George, my old congressional colleague, Governor Kasich, John Kasich of Ohio, got in the race yesterday. He's candidate number 16. Is he in this too late? What does he add to the field?
You know, I think he brings the fact that he's the governor of a very important state in next November. And I think anyone who has been a successful governor, as Governor Kasich has a lot to offer. Whether or not he's too late or too early or has some other difficulties, I'll leave to the experts like Dick Morris. I'm not worried about the other candidates. I'm worried about me and my ability to get my beliefs and my ideas out there to the American people.
We've got about a minute and a half remaining. George, you were the first candidate to really call out Donald Trump, and you encouraged your fellow Republican presidential aspirants to join you in that. Yet it seems the attention has actually helped Mr. Trump in the polls. Looking back on it, you told us earlier he's going to fade. Doesn't look like it right now, though.
Yeah, same thing. I would bet my right arm he's not going to be the Republican nominee. He is obviously a very media-savvy person. He has enormous name ID. He says outrageous things. But the United States people understand we need a leader who can bring people together, inspire Americans, not divide or demonize people. Like John McCain, we need to build up American heroes, not demonize them. And I think ultimately the American people are going to want someone who inspires us, brings us together, has the ability to lead across party lines, as I did in New York State, to run this country and to get us out of the morass we're in today. And when that moment happens, and it will happen during the course of this campaign, I'm ready.
20 seconds remain. Dick Morris, in your old role as a consultant, any more free advice for our friend George?
Yeah, he gave a good speech just then, but it's something all 15 of them are going to say. The important difference is that Rand Paul had a real initiative, which was to move the Republican Party away from the Christian right. And then he finked out, he got scared, and he compromised on abortion, and he lost the real libertarian core that he had. There's a vacancy there for George Pataki to step up and inherit that.
And we will have to leave it there. Thanks, gentlemen. Stay tuned. There's lots more Newsmax Prime right after this.